right, evening, everybody. I guess the Eastern Standard Time people might be going, what's going on? I said it for 10 p.m. YouTube did not factor in the time adjustment. I didn't know what to do, so I just went with the time scheduled. So I don't know if anyone's going to be here, but I'm glad you guys have been patient for those who are. I got Cody coming back from last week. I got Sharif, who is going to be coming here the first time. He's got the little S over there. Next time we'll get to see him. He's a little mystery man, but he knows what he's talking about. So I'm looking forward to talking to everybody tonight about the draft and then whatever else you guys want to talk about. Obviously, there's been a huge moves by Greer and free agency. You got to like it, even if you're a little dour. I'm dour on Chris Greer, but I got to admit, good moves are good moves. I think there's a lot of work to be done. So we're going to go over to free agency a little bit or whatever you guys want to talk about. And then we'll get into the draft. So Kenshon, Kenshon's his name because he likes anime. Sharif, why don't you take it over and just kind of talk about what you're about, who you are, and what you want to kind of cover tonight. And I want to give you the lead because you really like the draft. And, I'm not an expert in any way, shape, or form. So why don't you kick it off there, brother?
I remember, well, first of all, good night to everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, great. Well, good night to everyone. I am a Dolphin fan who's, passionate about winning. And I love the community. I fell in love over the pandemic. It was a time where, a lot of us came together. We only had a few in the community at the time, and it was some place that we can all, come and, so fans were not at games as yet. And it was a time where we got everyone's different perspective and met new people. It was a great time, I think. And of course, everyone's back to work, no more masks, and it's a different time now. But
Thankfully,
I think we have a bigger community with more knowledge than ever in this community, and I'm grateful for that. And what has happened with me is I've been forced to watch more film because seeing how other people enjoy the game, because watching the film is seeing other than looking at the statistics in the newspaper. And so you get an eye test versus judging, say, a highly rated someone or an all pro someone, and you actually get to see the consistency year 1 through 2 or 3 by pretty much an eye test, which is watching film, knowing A gaps, B gaps, what is setting the edge, certain things in a strong formation, a weak formation, strong eye, weak eye, what the responsibilities are. And so you get to enjoy the game more when you do the work.
So you were saying before when we were talking how much you really like to use all 22. Now, what's your background? Like, how long you been watching football? You said you're a recent Dolphin fan, or how long you been into football itself and then the Dolphins?
I was a Dolphin fan from I knew myself probably around 5 years old.
You're an old dog then.
And so I started playing John Madden football in 1992.
Ooh, you're an old guy.
And they had the Techno Bowl when they had I think that I forgot what the kid's name was. Bo knows when Bo would have been able to run. You couldn't tackle him. He would just run through everyone on Techno Bowl. But that's when I started to love the game of football. And John Madden helped to groom a lot of fans. Of course, the graphics wasn't that good at the time, but you get what I'm saying. So
yeah.
Eventually, John Madden couldn't help you. Even today, if you have PlayStation 2, 3, 4, 5, you need to watch some film.
Yeah, film's
key. You need to understand what gap responsibilities are with each position. What is 21 personnel, 22, 11, and you would understand the responsibilities, and then you would eventually enjoy the game. So that's what Sharif has evolved to become.
Okay, so what would you say is your top what's your best position that you feel like you evaluate best, and what's your worst?
I feel like I can evaluate quarterback the best, because of Marino. The expectations of what I had with Marino, and what I've seen, the Fiedlers, the Hennies, obviously the
Any
Tannehills and Tua, right? We've seen the Cleo Lemons and John. We've seen Lucas.
Lemon.
We've seen some small guys, and we have also seen the big guy in Dan Marino, who can't move. So when it comes to me evaluating quarterbacks coming into the Dolphins organization, I think that quarterback is one of the number one things I'm able to look into.
All right, cool,
Mhm.
cool. And what's your worst though?
My worst, I would say, the D tackle. One of the reasons why I think is the most confusing for me is because Raekwon Davis' responsibility was nose tackle, and was to basically hold up two, which minimized any chance of him moving forward for a sack or tackle for loss or anything like that. So I guess it's up to the defense to determine what a nose tackle or a zero tech would do. And if you don't understand what zero tech is I'm not gonna help you. So this is where you have to grow as a football fan and knowing the game.
Yeah, zero's over the center, and then you got one, which is between. Well, I'll go through the whole deal, but yeah, the big
Exactly.
boys. I would say my worst is receiver. I think receiver is I always hated receivers when I played. I always thought they were just always kind of they're the people I really didn't want to talk to too much, even like played some offense. That was my thing. I love the offense backs, quarterback. You always got to be nice to the quarterback. I like
Mhm.
defense. For me, it's probably O line, I would say, and then
Mhm.
receiver. So Cody, what about you? What about you think is your evaluation,
Well,
and then your flaw?
yeah. Well, my flaw, we'll just start right there. That's an easy one. Is I love the Dolphins, and you know, I love them. So sometimes I look at them a little differently, and I have a hard time. I feel the older I get, the more my heart's been broken from all the losses and all the hype, and just did it to myself a lot of times. But through that, I've learned to, you know what, maybe let's look at it as objective as possible, which is hard to do. So my biggest evaluation, I don't watch film. I just have 25 years of watching every single game and trying to figure out what this team has to do to get better, why we can't compete, why we don't stack up. And I guess I would just say that I watch it live, and I just kind of process it. Thinking about our run game, it didn't really hit me till the end of the year. We can't run up the middle. We can't. We really are just scheming up extra time for Tua to throw because we can't block. Like those things slowly kind of came to me, and looking back, it's like, dude, that was right in your face, man. So I'm not an evaluator. I'm just a hardcore fan that watches,
Well, that's all
and
good.
I'm obsessed with it. So I just want to learn more and more and more. All 22, love watching clips of it. Don't know if I could sit down and do it. I think it'd be interesting, but I just feel like I'm overdoing it, you know?
I think you would if you sit down. If you think you sit down and you watch the old 22, it really highlights so much stuff because the game is so complex. A lot of times I remember, like Flores, he would get like, well, did you see this happen? What'd you think? He's like, I got to go back and watch the film. He was like a film junkie, and people sometimes would say, he's just coach speak, but it's the truth. Unless you see that film, it's moving so fast. One guy can just have one wrong technique and the play can fail. And you can say, oh, this coordinator sucks. This defense sucks. But it was the guy who just screwed up one technique. And you can't catch that unless you get the film. I think that you should just give yourself an opportunity to watch the all 22 because a lot of the mystique, the mysticism kind of fades away because you have this particular look. So I gotta get my questions before I fall behind. A second. Do you think? Let me put this up there. I've got to put my things up over here, guys. Sorry. Do you think we can bring back another decent veteran pass rusher to get us buy into Phillips? Yeah, I'm sure we can, but I just don't know at what price, and I don't know what quality. I think we're coming, we're going to have free money. I think we want to push money into next year because we're really tight. We can go over that in all day. But I think they're going to draft an edge. And I think what you see with the Ravens, they're going to use blitzing and bringing a light front, which if you do it right, you put a team in off down settings. So if you stop them in a thin front on that first down and a run, then you're coming back with that light front in the second down and the third down. And when you get a team that's on offense off schedule, then it's a lot easier to get that pressure because they need to hold the ball longer. So I don't know if they're going to I think they could get a guy in the draft. I think we can talk about that tonight.
Be a lot cheaper.
Yeah. That Dolphin realtor. Hey, yeah, what's going on, brother? I was checking your guy, man. You were talking about Chris Jenkins, man. I did a little studying on him. I saw your picks for the draft. I'm just starting Sharif got me into the draft. I was going to put that off for another week or so, but so I'm catching up myself over here on that. Let's see. Hey, Cole, what's going on? I've been very critical of Greer. He's gaining my respect this offseason. Minus $2 million to getting what? 6 starters for the price of Wilkins. Solid additions this offseason. Yeah, I don't think, I think the thing is that you could go in a box and if you see, like right now, I thought he did a really good job, but I thought he did a bad job to get us here. I thought he did a bad job in 22, but you can't go back to the past and change it. And you got to deal with right now. And right now he did bring us some good talent. He set the plate, but he's got a lot of work to do because if you don't get these trenches fixed, in my opinion, I think you're going to go back to like I wasn't too high on him. So he could set the plate in this draft, and I think it will continue for an uptrend for his evaluation. But we got to see there's a lot of work to be done, but he's done everything you possibly could do at this moment. I think he should have had Wilkins here. I think he should have had Hunt here, signed in 22 with Van Ginkel, no Chubb. I think I would have used picks to try to find my way for the secondary instead of Ramsey. That's how I would have built it. It doesn't mean it's the right way. We get Latu, Verse, and Chow. I'm great. Chop. A lot of people. Hey, you mean that guy Chop Robinson? Is that Chow? I know Latua. I got to see Chow.
Eyes next to the P on this keyboard, so that could be it.
Oh, that might be. Jenkins, Mason Smith. Okay, yeah, there you go.
Chop.
Yes, 2 games and 1 trends. I believe that. I think that, that this is the really interesting part. I want to get back to Sharif in just a second, but I've been sticking with my value since 2021, since I started doing this. The trenches, Greer really doesn't have high opinion on the trenches. He kind of likes to fudge it. He likes to invest heavy on rushers, edge rushers, the defensive backs, and wide receivers. And kind of the rest of it, he just kind of throws against the wall. And I totally disagree with that formula, but, you got to reeval this time. But I believe the trenches set everything. And, we get into a bigger thing about it, but this year is going to be another clear eval that Chris Greer builds his own way. And if it's proven right, he's going to be a genius. If not, he's going to look like he's got egg on his face. So we'll see. Mims is a beast. Oh, he is. Cody likes Mims too a lot. That's the guy 6'7", 340.
Yes, he's very nice. But me and you are just alike in that when I didn't know anything about drafting or nothing about watching film, these people were talking about this Tristan Wirfs kids, and this is when we were trying to replace Laramie. All I know is this Tristan. So at that time, we had Ted Karros, we had Jesse Davis, and we had Calhoun. And these are the guys who would play most of the snaps. And we had a terrible line, so much so that Fitzmagic and Tua knew that they had to run a lot. And they were running a lot more during that year, meaning escaping the pocket because of, So that went down in the last 2 years for Tua. So Tua is not an escape magician anymore. And we know he can run over people and run by people, but he's not doing it, right? Right. We don't have to go into the reasons why his noggin was cracked. We don't want that happening anymore. So, but my thing is this. When I look at the evaluation at Chris Greer, how he looks at offensive line, it's terrible because you had Tristan Wirfs in your draft pick to get him. you had Cesar Ruiz, who's rated as the #1 center. At that time, you would have been replacing our the twin, one of the Pouncey.
Bouncy.
All you had to do now is get Panay Sewell the very next year. Yes, you might not have gotten Waddle, but you would have been able to got a Rondell Moore. The thing is, if you had to resign Panay Sewell and Tristan Wirfs and Cesar Ruiz this year, you would have been okay with letting them walk, but you would have had a formidable line. My thing is, I agree with Curtis in that Greer likes to fudge it up. He likes to invest elsewhere and believe he can coach up these offensive line, which shows that Tua will never have enough time to scan the field or to run from a pro set. Example, San Francisco, George Seifert pro set, West Coast, where you need time to come from behind center and drop back 5 steps. We asked this offensive line to do that. Me watching Curtis's evaluation of the RO line, I don't think we're able to do that.
Well, that's it. Every single person in the field of football, whether it's fan, evaluated, GM, coach, that's in the talent acquisition department or talent evaluation department, they have natural strengths and natural failings. It's just a way of life. And to me, missing Zach Tom, you can go back. I banged the wall for him. We went with Easy and Tyndall. We could have had him in the 3rd and the 4th round. That to me was unconscionable. There's a lot of things he's done with the O-line that is really poor. I just think he's weak. I think that maybe not even just him, but the scouts, because there's a whole process when it comes to evaluating players. And it's not just you looking at the guys, which, I'm sure he does that, but you're relying on the people under you, the scouts, to assimilate and grab data. And then that data is gathered based on how you set up the parameters for evaluation. And I don't know, how do you slice it? We suck really, really bad on the offensive line. And Hunt, for that reason, should have been taken. If we had just drafted Zach Tom over Easy and Tyndall, it would have been a huge deal. Now, I want to get back to the Bowers thing. Yeah, shoulda, woulda, coulda. That's the truth. So you got to you've got to reassess, and he's got to make good now. And that, to me, this year and next year is going to be based on what we do in the trenches now. We've set the secondary up for this year and next year. We've got the receiving group set up for this year and next year. And it's going to come down to how does he prepare and build out these fronts on offense and defense. And we will thrive or die or stagnate based on what we do there. I just want to cover this. Yeah, he's a good tight end, but I don't think we're going for him. I think the fact that we got so much money invested in Smythe, and then we got Jonnu Smith, I think they're not going that route. I would love that. I think a tight end is a key piece, a linchpin to being a physical offense. And since Tua's got here, I pegged offensive line and tight end as the key pieces for success, but I don't think we're going to go there. Let's see. I guess we'll get into it right now.
Can I say something on Greer real quick?
Oh, of course. Say whatever you want. Tell me to shut up.
No.
Shut up.
I think, I like Greer. I think he's got the goods in a lot of different ways that a lot of GMs don't. And I'm willing to, if he could open up those ears to the people around him, I think he's got really good people around him. I guess I want to believe that we haven't had an identity as a Dolphins team. We keep running through coaches and coordinators, and we're going to run this defense, this offense. We're going to have Flores. We're going to be a defensive team. Before that, we had Gase, and we were supposedly an offensive team, a bottom offensive team. And I just want to believe that, okay, what if we believe in Mike? What if we believe in the way everyone's kind of working together and moving in one direction? And now you can go to Greer and say, hey, this is who I want. These are the kind of guys I want. You don't have to do it on your own, because you're probably going to outlive this coach here. So you got to kind of draft for yourself. I don't know. I just think maybe Mike, if he's got the voice, can start asking for the guys. And if Weaver can ask for the guys, am I naive to think that the coaches and the GM had that kind of a relationship on these teams where Weaver can go, hey, this is who I need. This is who I want to get. Let's make it happen.
That's a good point you brought up, because when you look at Weaver's defense, coming from the Rex Ryan, and I'm gonna tell you right now, when Flores came here, the two guys that were referenced from Flores was the Rex Ryan, Buddy Ryan defense. That means exactly what we did in 2019 and 2020, which is, if I'm the defensive end, I'm basically gonna hold up the left tackle so you can come around free, and that's how Ogba got 9 sacks. This is that kind of standing 7 amoeba. We're 3-4, we're 4-3 game to game.
I like to hear that, Sharif.
Mhm.
I like to hear that. I love Flores' defense.
But we're not gonna have the traditional the 4 edge rusher where he's gonna traditionally be a threat. We're gonna make pressure. We're gonna make the quarterback uncomfortable on 3rd downs.
Yeah, the key though, from what I watched and what I was reading and studying about the Baltimore defense, is that they always try to go lighter on their front, starting off on 1st down. It's nickel all day, sometimes even dime. And the key to it is being able to stop the run on 1st down. If you can't stop the run on 1st down, Baltimore's defense slid to like one of the worst in the league as far as stopping the pass. But on a 1st down, if they were successful in stopping the run in their light front, it all flowed out of there. Wait. I agree with that 100%, and there's no prejudicial in my evaluation on that, brother. I promise. So the thing is, I still like him. I still think he, you could still not not say that McDaniel. You could say McDaniel's the right guy to be and still like him. I think it was just a bad setting all around, but I loved his defense and mentality.
Hey, can I comment on here?
Yeah, whatever. Yes, type in there. Do whatever you want.
I don't know if it's
type in there. I don't really care. Whatever. It's all good, man. It's all good.
I can't send it.
You can't?
No,
do it. You know what? You put in, if you put in the channel in a separate tab, and just click over there, and you can type into it. I think I got boss power over here. I think I'm the only one who could do it. I'm not sure. I'm a tech idiot, so I don't know. So to me, the whole key, and we'll get into the draft now. To me, and I'm not saying in any way, shape, or form that I'm correct. To me, that what you've acquired here as far as talent and have as talent, the biggest gaping holes right now is physicality on both lines. And if you don't shore up these defensive line and offensive line, the whole thing's coming down. I did a podcast I'm going to put it out today, but I put it out tomorrow because I had too much stuff coming out. I think I overloaded people on Curtis, know where to pay attention. So come out tomorrow. But this team, if you look at the run game for Baltimore, they were number 1 in league best time of possession on the road. They, I think, 9th overall as far as the season. We need to keep time of possession because you don't want this small front defense getting pounded game after game. But then you need on that defense is physicality to run those light boxes. But they got Pierce and Jones over there and Malbuka. So they've got like 3 quality interior guys to absorb those bodies so those little guys can get free. Right now, Seal to me is like a 3 to 5 tech. Much better at the pass rush than the run stop. I've shown it when he gets into the 2 tech because he's so tall and rangy. That hip buckles way too much, especially in the double. So we really need to get bodies. And so for me, we need 3 picks. We need a legitimate 3-4 DN. They can play D tackle in the nickel as a D tackle. But they can also play the D end in the 3-4 look. And then we need a legitimate nose tackle. And then we need a offensive guard. I would say more than that, but there's no way to reasonably say we can accomplish those goals. So that would be my layout. Sharif, I think I want you to take over for a while because this is your thing. I want you to kind of lay out how you envision the draft. Guys in the comments, you probably know more about this draft than me. I know that Dolphins Realtor is like really on this thing, man. So type in what you guys think about
So-
players, put us in directions, and let's get this draft going. But I'll tell my plays. My players right now. I'll deal with it later. Let you go first, Sharif.
Well, the thing is, it's the first round of free agency. And if we listen to the professionals, like all of the sports writers, the Omar Kellys of the world, they would implore that you wait until, at least the first round of free agency before you even think about your draft, right? And now that we've seen like the first round, not that the Dolphins won't make a splash next week, but we have a couple of more days before the actual draft. So the thing is, with the first round of what the Dolphins have done, and Brewer and Jaden Brooks, and obviously the other kid, Jonnu Smith, and then we've gotten Poyer. Now your first two picks, you can now look at your board and say, if this guy isn't there or that guy isn't, let's say a Braylon Trice is not there, who's an immediate fit, or Trevonte Sweat isn't there, who's an immediate fit at defensive tackle. If those two guys aren't there, 21 is not good enough for an offensive lineman at that point.
Ooh, that's good. Wait, Sharif. Let's work on that. That's a great point, dude. That's a great point.
Mm-hmm.
Keep rocking with that.
And so the thing is, with a Brewer now, you can't say you want the Jackson Powers kid, because then, or you can say, well, you're moving off corner. So you bring Jackson Powers in and let him play left guard and do the Laramie Tunsil thing, where Powers could play left guard until he's ready to play center when Brewer's gone. So now we can start to say that is a quality pick due to the first round of free agency, as opposed to just saying, hey, I'm going to just get the best talent that fits, or get the best player on the board. And when you look at the 55th pick and the 21st pick, I would say Roman Wilson would be the third receiver immediately from Michigan. That's a guy who I'm probably looking at 55, or even a cornerback. If you want cornerbacks, we already got the Fuller kid, but if you want another cornerback, there's still good cornerbacks there. So anything that you want to maybe discuss. I have the list right here of all of the cornerbacks available, of every position available. By the way, but
all right, I want to work on two. I want to work on 2 points that you brought up, because I think they're really good points. The first point is it's a precarious position at 21 now because of the offensive line. So I have a philosophy on that offensive line. I'll get into that in a second with the draft. But then the second one is that you thought I saw somebody else put best player available, and you said a corner in round 2. Now, my take will be on that is, if you don't draft particular talents, you're almost sacrificing the season. If you go into the season with an incomplete offensive line, or the way it's currently formed, and this defensive front unit without any real pop to it, this is going to be a flimsy team. And even with all this beautiful skills stuff in the secondary, even in the linebacking, all that stuff is generated from the big boys up front. And so, someone said best player available, which is great, but in essence, you are sacrificing the season. We will struggle, in my opinion, dramatically.
Right. So the perfect pick, without trading down, the perfect picks would probably be Trevonte Sweat at defensive tackle, Braylon Trice at defensive end, and then the second round, your perfect picks would probably be a wide receiver, Roman Wilson, or a Barton that may fall down. You got the kid Cooper Beebe. If he falls down, all of a sudden you got a Trevonte Sweat, a Braylon Trice, and a Cooper Beebe. And now your third round, you're saying, hey, we can trade down and get 2 fourths in the 5th.
Well, okay. Now I got a question. I am not a draft genius in any way. I'm like not good at all, really. I'm like, okay, and like just the talent evaluation. I'm seeing Sweat is looking like a 3rd to late 2nd rounder. Is that the general consensus from you guys?
I would say there's a Braden Fisk in that area of where Trevante Sweat is. But then there's also the gentleman here, Jared Verse. You have Jazier Newton. You have Brian Murphy. And these are defensive tackles. I'm talking about replacements of Christian
Yeah.
to go on the side of Siler. So if we look at to go on the side, someone to go on the side of Siler, that's just Jazier Newton, Byron Murphy. You have a the Hall kid, and of course Trevante Sweat. You also have the kid from Leonard Taylor. So these are some kids that could, and they're available in your area of draft. They would be available in that area. So, and we're talking about guys who would come in and take snaps immediately at Christian Wilkins' former position, and Barton, or another guard like maybe Ahmadiji. You could move him inside. There's a bunch of tackles right now coming in that you could move inside. Fontenot, he can play guard. Amaris Mims, he can be the future left tackle. But then we can also do the Laramie Tunsil with him, where we kicked him into left guard until Teron Armstead left, or in that case until Brandon Albert left, and then let him play left tackle when Teron Armstead retires. So,
Yeah.
and these are for need. But then some would say, if you go low on need, like what we did with Austin Jackson, we went on need.
Yeah, that was bad.
It was terrible. We had to wait for him. He was 19 years old, by the way, but we had to wait for him to. In his first contract, he's still 22. Get that? So it's a very young kid.
Yeah, I agree. And but that, to me, you know, the thing for me is that if you do not, again, if you do not draft correctly, you're going to sacrifice the season, which it might be part of the plan to get a lower pick. But can this regime survive that? What would the Dolphins fan base do if you don't have immediate success? And for me, an original point that you had was that at 21, if you look at all that, I was like, you know what? I've been talking about the talent cycles of the interior O-line going up in value. But this year it seemed to like almost break out, like have like a really like high explosion, like numbers that I didn't expect. I expected to rise, but way higher. Right. But when you look at this draft, there are very few guards that you can get and say, I'm going to put in here. And when you look at the tackles, so many of them are 6'7", 6'8", 6'6". And those guys, you can't put it at the guard unless they're elite talents because they just can't get low enough. And so when you go through this draft, it doesn't look like a great draft for guards. The Powers Johnson guy looks unbelievable at center and even guard, but I think he's gone by the time he gets there. I think Steelers are gonna take him. So if there's gonna be like a no man's land because you got Teron, who's it's gonna cost us money to get rid of him next year. Right. And so you figure 1 or 2 years with him, you're not getting rid of Jackson. And so like a guy like Mims, who's a guy I would love to draft, you know what I'm saying? But he can't be 6'7". There's no way he could play guard. And one of his things is he lacks a little bit of that mobility. He's too big. And so you're in a really Ace says there are plenty of which ones do you think that you're going to plug in this year? To me, I'll say I looked at Cooper Beebe. I liked a lot, but not for the scheme. So I think there's a lot of talent, but when you look at our scheme and try to match the talent to the scheme, it gets a little awkward because there's a lot of guys for inside zone. We're running outside zone like nobody's business. We don't have tight ends to do the blocking. I'm sorry, I'm going on too much, but I would like to see what your thoughts are as far as, hey, Amy, what's going on? I would like to see what your thoughts are, these guards that would fit our scheme, because I was going through a lot of them. I got to do the film and everything. I've seen some film. But let's
add it. Let's just add in a couple guys, right, for the sake of who else can we put inside? A Frazier, right? So why would Chris Greer go get Brewer, who's a center / guard, and go get Frazier, right? Because Frazier, you would avoid the Mims debacle where you can't move a 6'8" guy inside. So you go and get a Frazier, who's the next best center behind Jackson Powers, and he would be there. Of course, the Cooper Beebe would be there, Zach Minter, Christian Mahogany. So these are kids that would be there like in the top 130 picks. But my thing is, once again, that pool of guards in the draft is very, very shallow. Original guards who work in this scheme. And so, of course, once again, the perfect fits for the Dolphins' first 2 picks would be a starting defensive tackle who can come in and play right away. And then the second pick would be a guard who would be left guard on the side of Brewer right away. And then Eichenberg becomes the swing guy. But then if Eichenberg becomes the swing guy, making $4.5 million of the second round draft pick, that's kind of a bust.
Yes.
Who's your right guard, then? Who's your right guard, Sharif?
Oh, Isaiah Wynn. I would bring him back for $2.5 million. Yeah.
Right side?
Yes, I would put him back because at the Denver, right before the Denver game, we were very, very good. And then he got hurt in the Denver game.
Yeah, but he was on the left side.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Win is like when you say Win's name, man. I get the skeevies. Not that he's a bad guy. The guy has talent, but he is very light in the pants. To me, we've got to be able to control the A and B gap. He cannot drive block. He's likely to get injured. And then if you pair him with Brewer, 2 guys who are small. I mean, he's 300 pounds.
Yeah.
He can move.
305,
That's all
man.
Mike cares. Mike wants him to pull. Mike wants him to be able to move. He can move.
Yeah, I know.
Slowing him down, but he can move.
The zone stretch, man. If we win and we play at home, it's all good. Rain sometimes it could be a problem, but not really. But if you're on the road and you're in the snow and you're in the cold and you got a good defense and they know you can't run inside and then they play outside edges, outside in, and you can't drive block. What's going on, Jason? What's going on? What's the word, brother? Then you're in a predictable mode. If you go back and watch the film, and you can start with like the Broncos, they were playing the edge guys inside, shooting in, and they would get capped. They would get capped by our receivers and stuff. But as the season went on, and they understood we couldn't run inside, they kept bringing those edge guys out, and they would shoot wide over and over. And that's part of the reason why we started getting stymied. We had we're number 1, I think, running team in the league, but it was all pop runs, 60 yards, and then a bunch of negatives. And you can't thrive like that. You've got to be able to run inside, or they're going to just kind of sit on those zones. And all those, if you're going to throw a screen and you're going to run an outside zone, I call the same defense for that. If I'm running a pocket post and I'm running a deep, I can kind of run the same defense for that. So there's very similar layouts for your defense to cover everything that the Miami did well. Now, I love Jonnu Smith to attack that seam, but if we can't run inside, my concern is that we're going to be predictable. You got to have a little bully in you. And right now, Brewer's just not able to do it. Eichenberg can't do it. Jackson can't do it. And then Wynn really couldn't do it. So, but this is my eval. I'm sticking with it, but that's.
Okay, can you go back to Denver, Mike Shanahan? I remember the first time I ever realized, wow, they have lighter and more mobile offensive linemen. I got to look. What's this zone blocking? What does that even mean?
Yeah. Well, they used to cut block when Shanahan was. They had a cheat. They would take knees out.
But there was a little philosophy there, right? There was a philosophy there. And I don't remember going, I know they had Terrell Davis and a stable of 1,000-yard backs every single year. I don't remember what their inside power game looked like. I do think they had some hogs that can, like Mark Schler.
They had good offensive line. Yes, they had a good offensive line.
I just remember them being fast, though. Am I remembering fast and really able to drive block too? Well, because in my mind, that was an amazing offensive line.
Well, what they would do is they would cut you. they blow guys ACLs out. They would cut you. They would run wide, and then they would just cut you on the cutback. So every time you were a defender, you would play tentative because you were afraid to lose your ACL. And so they started taking that stuff away. It was
who was hitting low? Who was making that low
offensive
hit?
linemen, even the tight ends.
One would engage and the other tight end.
Yeah. They would do that all the time. And that was the main, I mean, they were still good offensive blockers. It was the rules then. Terrell Davis was unbelievable, but everyone was afraid about getting your knees blown out.
Damn.
And so that was like a major thing to it. And now you look at Atlanta, and Atlanta ran it 54% of the time outside zone, us 46, but they're running in a dome. They're playing New Orleans in a dome. They're playing Tampa, which is hot. And South. So we're going up to this is my belief. Again, I might be old school and outdated. I don't think that with our current constituted offense and offensive line, without the inability to drive inside, that we're going to have sustainable success. And so that's my eval. I could be totally wrong though. So I mean,
is there a middle ground?
Yeah, if you have the offensive line to do it. And that's when we had Hunt and Connor. If you watch the old 22, I gotta get you. There was such beautiful chemistry between these two guys. The strength, as Sharif would talk about, as a center for Connor was exceptional. I mean, he was a little weak as a guard, but at center was ridiculous. And him and Hunt. Remember the Patriots game where Mostert took that for the touchdown? It was a double combo left, and Hunt peeled to the second level. These guys had the juice, and they were running with Wynn and Jackson, who were weak. If you could have put guys that were more balanced next to them, it could have been unbelievable. If we had interior drive blockers, this offense literally would be unstoppable. But that's the thing we're lacking, and Brewer can't do it. Brewer can get to the second level. He can help you with the chip and go, but he's not driving really anybody. So that's my eval,
No, and the thing about it is, before we can move to the defensive side soon, guys. And we appreciate everyone dropping the comments and the evaluations of their players who they like. When I listened to Kyle Krabs, and he spoke about Brewer getting under the pads, able to, like you said, touch and then get to the second level. And I think he's also good at not getting downfield and getting a flag, because Connor would get that a ton. Robert Hunt would also get that a ton too. But I think Brewer is more disciplined, knowing the playing with Henry, knowing that he has to stay, in his field vision of rights to not get a lineman downfield flag. So I think Brewer brings clean snapping. If you look at his seasons,
very clean.
Yeah. Very, very clean. So like I said, if we were to happen to get a Connor Williams Jr.
What happened? I didn't kick him out. It wasn't me. Me.
He was
Sharif, we'll wait for him to come back. He just popped back in. So what about Cody, man? You've been sitting there. Well, you got to start doing some talking, man, because I got a big mouth. So get in there,
I'll
man.
tell you what, Sharif, haven't talked.
I like Sharif. He's smooth. You see how smooth he is?
Yeah. I was afraid you never know what you're going to get on these.
He's better than me. I think I hire him.
He knows what you're talking about. That's
Very
good.
smooth.
No, I want us to come away with a guard. I want us to come away with a tackle. I want us to come away with meat. I wanted us to come away from this whole offseason with, we signed this dude, he's nasty. We signed this guy, he's physical. And we picked up some guys. We got a gunner. I don't think I've watched gunner highlights before until recently. I love Mac Hollins, but this Siren Neal, however you say his name, we're stealing Patriots or Bills guys. I'll take that any day of the week. It just looks like we added physical guys. And I get your point. You're saying you can do that, but we didn't do it at the number one positions that you need to do it at. The trenches, the guys in the interior line, the guys in the interior defense. I think we're patchworking it. I think we're going to patchwork and grab some DTs. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Clowney and Calais Campbell on our teams for a 1-year deal next week. Like, I feel like we're just going to patch it together right now. And maybe just my heart says, please, we got a bunch of picks next year. We know what we're targeting, and there's guys we want to get, and we can get to next year and still be competitive and learn what we need to learn this year to step up to the next level, whatever that is right now, win a playoff game. You know, I'm optimistic. I wasn't last Friday. We're sitting here. You're showing me the holes. You're showing me the money, and I'm going, son of a, what are we gonna do? You know. And right now, I'm pumped up again, looking at the guys we got.
Well, you should be pumped up if we can look. To me, Sweat. If you get Sweat and plug him in there on defense, he's going to occupy. He's going to give you massive amounts of potential to stop the opposing team's run. And if you could do that, then you can keep in your light box and you stay ahead of the arms race on each consecutive down. The first down run stop is going to be key. To me, if we get Sweat, I'm going to be dancing. I think this defense is going to be very good with what we got. I would still like a D end. I was looking, I don't know, some of you guys draftniks out there, Realtor, man, you're the smart guy with the thing. I thought, I don't know how to say his name, though, Justin Eboigbe. He's 6'5", 292. I liked him. Darius Robinson. I really liked the Eboigbe guy. I've been watching his play. He's from Alabama. He went against top talent, and he could be had maybe like in the third or the fourth. 6'5", 292. I think we need that D end, who could play D tackle possibly on run pass downs. But we need a nose tackle. I guess you get a guy like Jenkins to fill in here. But though to me, that's what we need most because. Yeah. Some people, Cody was saying he wanted, Chop Robinson, the pass rusher. And I get that, but you got $26 million a year in Chubb. You got to re-sign Phillips for $20 million at the fifth-year option, or more than that, 25, who knows, for whatever, 20 plus if you're going to give him a real contract. How do you add a guy in, like say in the first or the second round, who's just going to be a rotational guy? You could have got that for Van Ginkel for 10, and but I don't think he would have wanted. But so for me, it's going to be curious at what we're going to do. But to me, it's got to be a guard good enough to zone, stretch zone block, but still bully a little bit like Hunt could. So if you guys have any stuff, I'm taking notes on who you guys are saying. But I was going through it and I didn't, just on the outset, see anybody. I mean, Powers Johnson was like the perfect guy. But then after that, you got guys that are just a little too slow. They're really good in inside zone, but not outside zone. Or if they're tackles who might look like to play, guard, they're just so tall. I mean, when you're 6'6", it is very difficult to get into that stance, in the three-point stance, and to come out of it with good leverage. It can be done, but you're really good.
How big's that guy? I watched his tape. He looked smooth. He didn't look like a massive man. He looked cut, lean, but still a good sized human being there.
I was checking him. I was like, fine. Yeah, he's 6'4", 317. And okay. He looks like he can play, but one of his weaknesses was his run blocking. He wasn't a great run blocker basing on trends. That doesn't mean anything,
At tackle, was he outside? Did he play outside?
Yeah, he was a tackle. But they were saying, too, I got to go check on him. They said, too, I don't like anyone on the interior with thin legs. If you're going to be in the interior, you got to have yourself a big caboose. This is just me. I'm prejudicial. That's why I like my women and my inside offensive linemen. Big caboose and big legs. So,
two of us.
Yeah. So I don't like that. You look at Eichenberg, it's the same thing. He has those spindly legs. Dude, you look at Brewer, that guy is built like a brick house. And that's
top to bottom.
And I don't, he's maxed out when you look at his frame, but that's why he can play. That to me, that's the football body. Football body is big glutes, big thighs, big hams, big calves. That's you don't need if you're a receiver or a skill, or maybe even a tackle if you're a pass blocking tackle, but certainly inside you do. So that Fontenot guy, I'm a little concerned about it being inside for that because we really need to run. But, that's that's just that's my taste and my take. I got to go watch more film on these guys. But that guy Powers Johnson, man, it was like I had him. I had dreams, him and Sweat, and I was like, we were on our way, So
where's he supposed to go? The top 10?
They're saying Steelers. They just got rid of Pickett, and they got Wilson, so they're going to go long term with him. And they got Harris, who's the running back, who's not been utilized properly. They're going to get Powers in there for the center or guard position. And then maybe even another player for that offensive line. So
he reminds me of Todd Gurley so far.
Oh yeah, it's a shame. Yeah, it's a shame. He's got talent, but if you go check his yards before contact, is terrible, man. It's terrible.
He runs slow, and then when he's beat up, he runs even slower. He just can't lose a step. He's too slow already.
I got to check what's his name, which I'm still working my way through because I don't watch college football, guys. I'll be honest. I don't watch college football until the draft comes. I just don't have time. I study NFL. He
sounds cool, though. We like him so far.
So I wished, if we're going to have Brew, you get two big guards, run some outside zone, but then a decent dose of inside zone, and then you have a more rounded player. But if we're going to stick hot and heavy on this outside zone, then it limits the talent you can bring here at that guard spot. What did Jason say, man? Post what Jason said. It's a good.
He says keep an eye on cuts. I think we'll be more active post June, and that's my fandom, my optimism. Like we got guys on our team I didn't think we're going to get. I didn't think Fuller wasn't supposed to be so cheap. Like I didn't think we're going to pull a guy like that. So I just feel. We don't know what's on the horizon, and if they fill the void we're looking for, even for a short term, like
he's back.
Oh,
sorry. Hey, how's it going?
It was my
spot now, but that makes sense because you're just.
Yeah, I apologize. I think my internet on my phone might have just flunked out.
I run the show, dude. Don't even make any. I've done some really dumb stuff here, so don't worry about it.
We got on like an hour and a half ago, 2 hours ago.
Yeah, we missed you, man. Oh, wait, Will, you had said something. Will, you said Graham Barton. What I got from Graham Barton, my early studies, again, it's just my early studies. He had a bad year this year, and speed and athleticism is a little bit of his knock. And, that's just what they're pegging him as. Like I saw a bunch of people gave him that. And if you run outside zone, that's a key trait. So I don't know, Will. I'll look into it some more. I'm going to get into the film and we'll redo this after I get some film. But it takes a lot, man. It takes a lot to be a guard in the outside zone heavy, So
I would say I like Bartoloni. If guys who can slide in and play guard or who can come in and compete for any of those guard positions besides Isaiah Wynn. You got, like I said, you have Frazier. If they're gonna jump all over Powers, then someone's gonna jump all over Frazier. I'm telling you that right now. You got the kid here. Like as you said, Cooper Beebe, his athleticism is under question. You got here the kid
that Don's boy?
Christian Mahogany. You also have Zach Zinter. You have Bo Limmer, who plays center, and you can go right down the list here. But the thing is, and of course, at D-line once again, these are defensive tackles or players who would immediately be on the side of Siler. You look at a Jared Verse, who could play in and out. Jair Williams, Laute Latu is not going to be there. He's projected to go top 10. Brian Murphy will be there, maybe from 0 to 20. He's projected to still be there, so maybe he may slide to 21. If a guy like that does, he's immediately going to take over Christian Wilkins on the side of Siler, and you're not wasting that 21st pick. But if he's not there,
sorry, I was typing. I missed you. Who did you say? What's the name?
Brian Murphy II. Or a Jared Verse, who has the weight to do what Christian does, play 3-tech in a 3-4, or play edge in a 3-4, or play 4-3.
Now I got a question for you, though. So if we go and take a player at 21, and we don't trade back, then our ammo is going to be constricted for the season. Do you think that if we take that play, what do we do with the second round, and where do we get that offensive lineman? I'm writing it down so I can pretend later that if it's a good idea, that it was my idea.
Well, the thing is, right, for me, if I don't think there's gonna be a run on tackles like they say it will. So let's say Joe Alt goes, you have Fashanu goes, Latham goes, Fuega. I think Fontenot may be there for you, and you can slide him into guard. So you can get Fontenot in the 21, and then you can get a guy like Braden Fisk, who's a defensive tackle.
Have you watched him? Have you watched him play? I've only seen some small stuff. I haven't really studied him. Have you watched him play extensively?
Fontenot at Washington?
Yeah.
Yes, very athletic. He's not the big grizzly guy like a Mims or an Armstead who's 6'5".
Yeah.
But you're talking about guys who can peck well and then still get out in front. And if you know Mostert likes to have a guy or two in front of him. If you watch the Denver game and how there were 7 guys downfield blocking for the Dolphins, and all of the offensive linemen were running downfield, a guy like Fontenot would be able to thrive in something like this if he were to fall to 21. And
so if he fell to 21, and what would you do with that second round pick? Tell me Sweat. Tell me Sweat.
Sweat probably won't be there.
You think he's going that early?
A guy like Braden, I think a guy like Braden Fisk may be there. Leonard Taylor would be there at 55.
Where do you think Sweat's going, man? Because I was seeing like third round, like late second. I'm not knowledgeable on that.
If we see the run on edge and defensive linemen like we think we will, because I'm telling you right now, if Late Latu goes, Jared Verse is going to be the next one gone, and then Zaire and Newton, Brian Murphy, Chop is going to be the other saying, hey, you couldn't get you know how the run goes. So if there's a run on these guys, it's going to be so much so that it's going to leave an O lineman there for us. And then if there's a run on O lineman, it's going to be so much so at 21, there's going to be one of these studly defensive linemen there for us. It's a win anyway. But if they're not, if our particular guy is not, I won't be mad with trading down for a third and a fourth. You know, you trade down for a third and a fourth, we get your 26th pick or we get your 29th pick, and we're still picking in the first round. And plus we have some ammunition to bring guys in because we don't have Deshaun Elliott, guys. We don't have Brandon Jones. We cut Keon Crossan. So we're not going to be dependent on Ethan Bonner and Nick Needham and Cam Smith. And then we also have Jordan Poyer, Javon Holland. I think we're bringing back Elijah Campbell. So if we want to just dive in a little bit on like, why are we going to pursue people? We only have, I think, Norman Hand, the defensive tackle. We only have Peely.
He's good. So, he's a big piece. He's a really good run defender. He's a big piece.
He flashes.
Brought him up.
My son's 15. He's been watching the games with me for a few years now, and he's not, he's 15. He only knows so much, but we watched a couple of Deshaun Hand plays this year, and he goes, "Who's that guy?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you can see it. You can see it when he plays." But the guy they brought in, Neville Gilmore, he's touting some athleticism at defensive tackle as well. And they brought in another defensive tackle. I forgot. Or Benito.
Yes. Benito Jones.
But he's
Curtis isn't liking the Benito
I'm
Jones signing, guys. Comment, get upset, make a lot of.
To me, he gets moved. He's too big to get moved. Yeah, nah.
But I'm thinking
I could be wrong.
He's improved.
My wife tells me that.
He's improved. That's what the NFL is so great. Every year you got a chance to get better.
I think this is the chance to be the cream of the crop of this crew and take majority of snaps. Now, keep in mind, it may be a downgrade so much so from Christian Wilkins, but if one of these guys emerges for a new contract, and what Alba did, look at what the other kid did for us, and they emerged and got their contract elsewhere, and we're okay with that. Quinn did that with us. Quinn came here from the Rams, got his couple of sacks, emerged as a candidate to move on from us, and we're okay. Robert Quinn, yes.
I love that guy, man. That
One of these,
was great.
right? One of these defensive tackles could come and thrive on the side of Siler, and all of a sudden, it's good for us, but bye next year. We can't keep you.
Yeah, it's a crazy business, man. I don't know how
Will,
these kids do it.
Oh, keep going, Cody. I'm sorry. Keep going.
No, we sit at home and some of the people that just have no clue about any of this, about how contracts work, but they're the first one to tell you, you know, as you like to say, Greer sucks, Tua sucks, we're trading it all, and they don't know what they're talking about. But it has to be such a highly complex thing. It seems simple watching, but I mean, these are humans. These are humans. We're projecting talents, but also as people. There's financial issues there. It's just endless.
And the thing is, Cody, we haven't even broken down linebackers yet. Like, now, if you look at
linebackers right now, I'm happy as a pig and poop right now about our linebackers, man.
So
I love Brooks and how big he is.
Brooks, I love Brooks.
I love his speed. I love his coverage ability. And the thing is, right, after first wave of free agency, bringing in Walker and bringing in Brooks, if you look at the Senior Bowl, Cedric, we go to his name, Cedric Gray, this kid took over the first 2 days easily. If Cedric Gray, he's projected to be there in the first 120 picks. I don't care what Peyton Wilson did. Cedric Gray, to me, would come right in here and be that Robert, I forgot the middle linebacker we had from the Patriots. Elandon Roberts. He would be the Elandon Roberts 2.0 right off of the bat. He would sniff everything out. The thing is, he would be the sniffer. The athletic guys who we have, and David Longs and the Jordan Brooks. This guy, Cedric Wilson, would be the sniffer. He would be able to sniff you out, engage in there and get dirty and sniff that stuff out. So that's the kind of guy that Cedric Gray is. Jeremiah Trotter, his dad was good. I don't think he's not even close as his
Jeremiah
dad.
Trotter. He was great, dude.
He'll knock you out right now still, I bet.
Hey, does you guys, any college junkies out there? I've been looking at this guy late for our nose tackle. If we miss on Sweat, though, I'm praying we don't. Evan Anderson. He had a really good year this year. Big 6'3", 346. Really was like he could handle those doubles. Anybody watch his play? I gotta dial him up. I mean, I started studying him for tonight because I was like, there was Justin Rogers, Evan, but I didn't like Justin Rogers. He had a kind of a bum year this year. But I liked Evan Anderson a lot as maybe a guy we could find late. He's a big guy in case we miss Sweat. I really want Sweat though. I mean, we missed out. I was telling Cody before, we missed out on Will Fork. We missed out on Nagata. We missed out on Via Via. This is our chance to not break this one.
Now, Dwayne Carter. Now, Dwayne Carter from Duke, he would at 6'3". Let me just go to exact size. So at 6'2.5", 302 pounds. This dude is a stud. He would come in and be your zero tech right away.
You think he can handle zero tech at 302?
At 302,
with a two gap. That means you got to take two guys. He can handle two guys at 302.
I think he would be able to do something like what a Christian Wilkins did, where you don't put him at zero, but you can put him right over the guard. And I think it's amazing what they say we would be losing in Christian, but a bunch of guys are coming in here with the same prototype as Christian, which is 6'3", and around that type of area. And Christian was never big enough to play zero, but he was over 300 pounds, but he could move. A lot of people don't know Christian Wilkins can dunk a basketball coming out of college.
He can do the splits, man. That dude he could jump over you.
Oh, I just want to answer this question. Will said, got to trade back.
I guess it's.
Oh, I'm sorry, Sharif.
Go ahead.
Answer this thing quick so I can move on. Values offensive tackles, not interior offensive guys. Only way we draft an offensive guard in round one is if he can kick out to left tackle and Armstead is gone next year. And that's the thing too is does Greer, who likes to look to the future, maybe sacrifice this season and the guard play and get the replacement for Armstead, who's probably going to be gone next year?
It feels like that's what this season is about a little bit. Not resetting. We can compete, but it just feels like we might be going, all right, let's make a 2025 run with a bunch of young guys. I don't know.
So if some people are saying that the Chop Robinson's
we're going to trade up, Amy. We're going to trade up. We're going to get Charles Harris. We're going to get Dion.
Oh, no, don't tell me that. So if we went for a premier edge rusher at 21, Chop Robinson, somebody else, does that mean we're moving off Phillips? Can we pay 26 to Chubb, 20 plus to Phillips, and then still spend a first or second round pick?
Is Phillips really going to get the bag? Like, he's shown it, but we don't even know what he's going to be coming off this Achilles. He's probably going to be good with modern medicine. They heal these guys up pretty quick, but I mean, it's just not guaranteed.
Yeah.
So let's just dive into that. Let's dive into that a bit, right? If you're Chris Greer, the first wave of your rookie talent that you draft is gone. The second wave is next year. Do you do a Laramie with one or two of these guys and get a bag from them leaving? Meaning potentially Holland, Waddle, or Jalen. My thing is, you're not going to let the three of these guys just walk. One of these guys, you may just get a trailer load of picks, knowing that you can't keep him. And for me, if you let Waddle and Tyreek walk, I'm cool with that. I'm even cool with trading Tyreek and letting Waddle walk, because you're not paying two guys 30 plus million, and you're not paying Waddle 28 million and keeping Tyreek for 50. So at the end of the day, Jalen Phillips, you can still bargain him because he's coming back to a prove-it year. And we know with torn Achilles, you're never going to be who you are this year coming. It's going to take in 2025 when you see the real Jalen Phillips again. That's a bargain chip for the Dolphins. Now, when it comes to Javon Holland, if he wants to buy, I trade him to somewhere and get a trailer load of picks. My thing is, in knowing that it's not going to be a core you're trying to keep because these guys are going to get their bag, you're not going to let your 2 rounds of draft picks just walk on you. You got to get something back from some of these guys, not just compensatory.
Oh, I want to deal with this Chubb topic. Now, I agree. Jason was saying that, I think it was Jason was saying they can get rid of Chubb next year. If we get rid of him next year in 25, it's 16 in dead money, but only 10 in savings pre-June. If we wait to post-June, post-June, then it's 20 in savings and 6 in dead money, which is way more manageable. But then, as Gunka Dunce would say, you're going to move after Chubb after 2.5 seasons after paying him all that money and then giving away all those picks. That would be huge egg on the face of Greer. So I think from what I've seen with Greer, he's not the kind of guy to do that. So I don't know. I never would have signed him. And I said that November 3rd, 2022, that it was just, we could have had at what we're paying him. You could have, the people are saying Wilkins, you pay that guy 27. And this is a guy who's never been injured, and he plays 1,000 snaps a year. And we paid 26 this year for Chubb, who's only played 50% of his snaps, and he hasn't done anything for us. So I don't know.
What is also interesting, right? If you count how many times Stephen Ross has opened a checkbook and cashed it last week and this week, meaning it's restructured. So I think Teron Armstead is 13.5 million a year, right? Stephen Ross has to open his checkbook and give Teron a check, meaning give him 11.5 now in his hand, and then the cap savings would be 2.5 against the cap this year. If he did that with Deshaun Elliott, let's say he did that with Nick Needham, I understand. He did it with Seiler. He did it with Ramsey. I think he did it with Chubb. I think he did it with – so if he did it with over 11 guys, and now Chris Greer is asking him, please believe in me this time. And Stephen Ross has opened his book. I'm telling you right now, Curtis and Cody, some heads are going to roll because too much money Stephen Ross is spending out of his pocket now. Not that he can't afford it, but now Chris Greer is asking him to open up the checkbook just to get under the cap, and then open it up again so you can have 30 million to play with. It's just a lot of
We got to
money
remember
that
too,
Stephen
though,
Ross.
he
Mhm.
raised ticket prices 30% this season.
Mhm.
And we don't know what's going on in the background as far as telling Greer, hey, man, we're going into this 30% raise. I need you to just boost this town and get some success to get people to buy these seats, because 30% is a killing amount of money to make on the season tickets. 30% is big time stuff. So we don't know really what's going on in the background. Hey, and Dad, what's going on? But yeah, and we don't know. I mean, I forgot who it was. I was watching them. I said there's only like 1/3 of the coach owners in the league actually want to win. I don't know what Stephen Ross. I think Stephen Ross is an I want to win
I
category.
think,
He
I
doesn't
think
know how to though. But I think he does.
I think he knows his time's probably not forever. And that dude is meeting with Tom Brady on boats, and like,
Oh yeah.
that guy wants to win.
Inadad had a really good point. You could get Chop Robinson if somehow he falls to you, and then that would give you the excuse to get off Chubb, and then you could keep Phillips. So I could see that. I think that's a good point. I don't know if it's
the future. If he can rebound, I think he's on the future list here. But
yeah. So anyway, I'm sorry I didn't mean to cut you off, Sharif. Keep rocking and rolling. We'll get off here in like a few more minutes.
Glad you're here, Sharif.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, if you guys, to complete the linebackers, but if you know any more linebackers, Cody, or anyone in the chat, Curtis, bring up the names. Like I said, in the Senior Bowl, who shined out to me was Cedric Gray. Now, I know the kid Chris Broswell from Alabama. You got Edgerrin Cooper, who they may be there in that 55th pick.
You think we'd actually pick a linebacker though?
Well, the thing is, if you got Jordan Brooks, right? You got David Long. Then if those two are your nickel, you still need an Landon Roberts type. I'm not depending on Duke Riley to be that. And if David Long's gonna be that, then you're gonna have Jordan Brooks and whoever else on the outside wing as a weak side. So I'm not dependent on Duke Riley to be my weak side. I'm gonna need a Cedric Gray to come in there and be able to clean things up while Jordan Brooks can cover, and while a Mike like David Long can
doesn't
call
Walker
things up.
Doesn't Walker kind of fit that role?
Yeah, Walker's
he's purely special teams, but his special team snaps is outrageous in his career. So I think that's what they brought him in here for. Him and
teams, you think?
Saron Neal, him and Saron Neal exclusively they thrive on special teams in their career.
I think Saron Neal's our gunner, but I think Walker's going to play. He was the captain for the Browns, and I know he's a special teams, that can be part of it, but he just seems like he's going to. We brought him in because that's what we're missing. And
Walker had 454 snaps last year, so he was more than a special teamer.
So now the thing is, that says a lot about Channing Tyndale. Even if Walker is a special teamer,
that's what Curtis said.
But even if he's a special teamer, Walker guy, that still says a lot about Tyndale. That says you can't even crack the lineup, bro.
That's a whole topic.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I mean, we could have got Chanel, who's playing outrageous for the Chiefs, man.
Right. So
Tyndale's a big miss.
We've covered a lot. Linebackers, defensive line, who we like to be there. Offensive line, we've covered. The BB kid, the Frazier kid, guys we can kick inside on the side of Brewer and Connor Williams if he comes back. We've touched a bit on some tackles. Obviously, we won't waste people's time with the quarterback. But
Thanks,
I like Penix. I really like Penix, man. Safeties, I think yes, Poyer is 32. I think he wants to end his career in Miami. So even if we get an Oladapo, let's say in the 4th round, that kid is a stud strong safety, because Javon is a free safety, and he would be the one in the single high. So if we get a guy who can come down and sting you in the box, you know what I think we're gonna need with this Weaver defense? Like an Eric Rowe. a guy who can stick with the Kelseys
Cover
of
the
the
tight end
world.
too. Yeah. Cover the
Yes, I think if we can get an Oladapo, I think he's the guy who can play that Eric Rowe role. And no, let me tell you, that was some of the best safety play I've ever seen since Louis Oliver and Jeremiah Bell.
He had that
Eric
really
Rowe.
great season against tight ends.
Eric Rowe had a really great
I
series this
remember him
season.
going against the Raiders tight end. He's now the Giants tight end. I can't think of
Yeah,
his name.
Waller.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
he had that great
Walter
game.
kept catching everything, but I swear to God, it wasn't Rowe's fault. It was just
It
like
was not Rowe's fault.
beast.
I remember that
Rowe was
game.
on him like glue the whole game.
And so that's the kind of safety I can see Weaver. And that's another thing. Will Greer give the keys to Weaver to bring in the Rex Ryan, Buddy Ryan, Brian Flores type of amoeba defense?
I hope so.
And you just let Ogba go, but we can't keep Ogba to play that price. We can't keep him to play the
I
amoeba
don't
role.
I don't think it is the amoeba defense because you know, a lot of people don't like Flores anymore, but Flores is brilliant, like truly brilliant. And I know it's you know, we had a tough time with the situation, all that, but you have to understand what he's done everywhere he's gone. He's able to take that defense and tweak it and turn it and just kind of adapt it to almost any kind of player. And in order to build week by week different game plans, utilizing your talents in opposition to the opposing team's talents and adjust things in small ways, but big ways, week after week, team after team. This guy is, and we got to understand, you know, Weaver, he might be good, but I don't think he's going. I think he's going to have kind of like with the Ravens, where you get a light front, you bring guys up that, and you're not sure who they're going to drop. You crowd the line of scrimmage. There's a little bit of movement, but I don't think it's going to be anywhere. To me, Flores is one of the best.
One of the best.
In the game.
Yeah, he executes the Buddy Ryan style of defense where you don't know who's coming and it's too late to drop back and pass. It moves a quarterback off a spot. It causes an incompletion. The time, if people don't realize the amoeba standing zero blitz, it's never ever really 7 going. You know, most of the time it's 8 dropping. But you do not know who's coming as an O-line. When you watch the All-22, the confusion is already there. Ball is snapped, ball is getting out quickly just because of the fear of someone reaching. Meanwhile, Flores drop 8. So
well, I'm sorry, keep going.
But that was the confusion right there. Go ahead.
But the thing that, you know, this, I think Cody was saying something that was so astute before. And I mean, so many good comments here. We could spend a show on like all these comments. Yeah, but he was saying before how this game is so nuanced. There's so many things that come into play that we don't know. You know, you got a guy who's got a bad ankle, and that can alter how you execute things. But, you know, so there's what Flores did. Back in the day, it wouldn't have worked as well because when you had offensive linemen doing 2-a-days, the chemistry they had, the ability they had to execute was such a higher level than today. The offensive line play is terrible. It's terrible. And you can tell that because the refs allow holding calls like it's insane the amount of holding calls that are allowed in run and pass now. They would not have passed even 3 years ago. But now that you got rid of these postseason games, you've really trimmed down on the ability for these people to play. Talent at those positions are such a premium. But Flores knows that they're not prepped. And when you bring that pressure and that confusion, he knows these guys aren't up to snuff because of these lack of 2-a-days. And so it's just a perfect usage of this tactic in a time when the offensive lines they're on the ropes. And I think that's another reason why you're seeing the offensive line prices go through the roof. Because if you can find a guy that's not getting these reps and still do his job, man, that is gold, man. That is such gold. And so I think Flores understood that and took advantage of it.
But Curtis and Cody, what came to my mind as you were speaking, Curtis, is why didn't we just go back to what worked against Lamar You pressured him only 8 times. You only
Yeah.
sent more than four 3 times in that game where you had Lamar spanking his helmet against the ground. Yet we didn't use it against Lamar this year. But Chris Greer witnessed Flores' success against Lamar, but went away from it. Yes, we know it's Fangio's defense, but you as a GM need to tell Fangio this is what works. But
But
obviously, Fangio thought that his quarters and zone would work, and you see what happened to us. It boggles my mind that you know how to stop Lamar and confuse him, yet we never blitz
That's
once.
that's my
That
point
was
on
crazy, man.
what's our direction? Or are we finally going in one direction and we're going to stay that way for a while? Case in point, Fangio and now Weaver. We're flipping. We're going, okay, no, we're not going to play man or zone. We're not going to do what Fangio did. Now we're going to do a whole different thing in 1 year. That's what we keep
I
doing.
found it to be crazy, Cody, because everyone came off of us. Everyone was like, the Dolphins know how to stop Lamar. Let's blitz him too. And everyone used what we used. But yet, when we have Fangio, Fangio decides to play quarters 4 and
Yeah.
quarter 6 and
It
get
hurts
burned
too
and
much.
toast.
It hurts too
It
much to
really,
think about right
it
now.
blows my mind, man.
That
well,
game was horrible.
there's a thing. You have to first off. Hey, brother, what's going on? How you doing, man? It's good to see you, V. You know, you have to understand that. Let's say you take a defensive coordinator or offensive coordinator. We'll stick with defensive coordinators, and you think about the your calls as using a weapon. So let's say that you're used to fighting with a saw, a fully automatic machine gun, or you're used to fighting with a knife. That's how you get down. Now, all of a sudden, somebody says, "Hey, we're going out to battle, and I want you to use a sniper rifle, and I want you to move off and use the Morning Star." Immediately, you'll be successful. You've had time in the battles. You've been blooded. You understand concepts of hand-to-hand combat or use of firearms, but immediately you're off kilter. And one of the things with Fangio is that he understood what his defense did against other teams. That gave him the advantage. There were so many times this season that we won because he called up the right blitz or understood because he was used to that. And, it'd be like saying if I said to Brian Flores, "Hey, I want you to run, to Tampa 2 this week."
Yeah.
You would. And so we have to understand. Yeah, we have to understand that it's got to come back to Chris Greer because Chris Greer said, "Hey, I want Fangio here. Fangio, we know his defense. We know who he is. And then we give him talents that might not necessarily fit. And then we ask him to win the first season of installing a highly complex defense. You could say Fangio's this or that, but who would hire him if that's what you were going to do? You had Boyer's defense. You had talent for a blitzing amoeba defense. And then you brought a guy who's polar opposite.
Yeah.
And so, this guy gave us the most amount of sacks that we've had in our history. He altered the course of what he does.
There was some heavy games, like against the Giants. What do we have, like 9 sacks in that game or something?
Yeah, it was a lot, right, man?
It seemed like there was a span where we were really getting them.
The thing is, right, with making adjustments at halftime, something I thought Fangio was poor at. If you had made adjustments during that Baltimore game, we were still in that game halftime. If you had changed to your amoeba blitz and send more heavy pressure at Lamar, we would have had a greater chance at winning that game, which would have given us the 2 seed or 1 seed. But no, you still do, like you said, Chris pricked Fangio, and because of that, we lost the 2nd seed. It is what it is.
What I want to do is I'm gonna. I was talking to Chris Jones. He comes on here, and he was saying I want to go back actually and go through the whole season and watch all 22 on this channel and break down each game through the season so we can get a universal look at it and see things in context. Because I'll go back to that Ravens game. If you go back to that Ravens game, Fangio's defense had the situation tilted towards us, and then our offense just totally collapsed. Yeah. And that's my memory of it. And not saying it's correct, but I think that the Fangio, if you took him out of what we did last year, we would have been doomed. You have an offense that's been marinated in the system. You have it's supposed to be your most potent part of the team, and it utterly lays an egg in every major game. And so while the Ravens game, maybe to me, and maybe I like Fangio and I like what he did. I just feel like that he became the face of why we lost, but really I think there's more to that. But I want to go through all the games this year before the season starts and see things in context. Because to me, McDaniel for 2 seasons now and his offense, and I don't blame him because I put it on the offensive line's failures. And then again, I go back to Greer. He set up these poor offensive lines. But that Fangio defense is meant to have a run attack that creates time of possession and then has an offense that has some kind of potency. That's what it's designed for. And he didn't have it. And so I get your point, Sharif, but I'm going to disagree on that, but doesn't mean I'm right. But I think that, it really came down to Greer and asking McDaniel to win year 1 as a new coach and then asking Fangio to install the defense and win year 2. I don't know. I find that the biggest, fly in the ointment, but that's just me.
But to me, it just flies in the face of, we know Buddy Ryan's defense works against Lamar. We know it sacked him 9 times. We know Flores didn't really send any pressure that game. It was the confusion of the O-line that caused all the sacks on Lamar. Yet we know the formula, but we're going to bring a guy in here who's going to cause us lose the AFC second seed because he wants to do what he wants to do. And to me, if you are the creator of confusing Lamar, shouldn't you ask Fangio to at least use it 1 game?
Well, the thing is, you have to remember though, let's just play this out. Let's just role play this out. So you get out of your game and your players are off for 2 days. And then they come back and they have 2.5, maybe 3 days to prep for a game. Now you have to install essentially a whole new defense. Guys have to learn all new techniques. They have to rememorize those techniques. The DC then has to understand those techniques. You have to get those plays memorized and prepped. There's a lot that goes into it. I personally like Flores' defense better because it is more malleable. But then it's very difficult to get those man corners to get it off successfully. Where Fangio's is more rigid, but it's easier to find smart guys who know how to play in the scheme. So I just think each one has it's just very difficult to it's not, you got to get these humans to understand their responsibilities. And a lot of these guys that Fangio had didn't even understand their responsibilities through a good portion of the season. So
exactly.
So I'm sorry, I got to disagree, but it doesn't mean again I'm right. So I don't know. But anyway, guys, Sharif, you're really good at this. I want you to close us out. Talk for however long you want. You're really smooth. I hope you can come back. Can you come back and do this again with us? Because you're really good. Cool.
Sure. I think what we can break down is, I guess, this is still the first round of waiver free agency, so I guess we can break down the additions next week, Saturday or Friday.
Yeah, Friday. Friday.
And then we can start to, I guess, shape up better how we would look in the draft coming. And also I'm gonna bring out something even more special for the Dolphin fans in the comments. I'm gonna start to bring up the future 53.
Cool.
Right? The potential future 53, because remember, if we already have 45% of the roster already being changed, right? Christian gone, Robert gone, so that means the roster's already been flipped. So we can start now moving forward into who will be the 53, who's going to be on the side of Siler, who's going to be opposite. Is it going to be Cam Smith taking over Fuller on the side of Ramsey? Or is Cam Smith going to – I don't look at him as a slot because he's a big kid. But I just hope Fuller can come in and play slot and allow Cam to grow at the number 2 cornerback.
That looks like the plan. That looks like the plan.
Yeah, because Fuller.
What they said, maturity issues for Cam. To me, physically he looks like the dude, and he looks like he can play. He looks like a ball hawk. He looked really good breaking on balls in the preseason. I think he can play, but
in his college film, Cody, he hits the crap out of you. That his hitting
looks like a young Jalen Ramsey to me. I'm not trying to be
his tackling. Coming out of college, his tackling is elite.
Yeah, he's a great tackler. Great tackler.
You talking about Cam Smith?
Cam Smith, yeah.
We're trying to sway Curtis a little bit on him. So,
well, I like my I'll just get quick. For my concern with him, he's 180 pounds and he lacks pop. Sometimes he doesn't come out of his breaks in a post. Short and shallow, he's really good. And he's got great agility. I saw the diving block, the deflection he made, but his body broke down a lot last year with very little play. And he got lost. He got left behind on some posts and in cuts, and he didn't have the pop out of the break. So those two things. And if you look at his 40 was much better than his vertical and his broad jump, and that's usually an indication of speed over burst. And burst really is always a critical factor for me. That's why I kind of liked him at a free safety position. But then I was a little concerned about the 180. But I think a kid could play. It's just those are my two little nitpicks.
The thing about Nick Needham is beautiful hips. I wonder if he'll get his speed back that he had playing corner one for us. I remember when Fitzmagic was there. Nick Needham was playing corner one for us.
Yeah.
And his hips was very, very nice that season. Able to turn his head, locate the ball, and still have the back end speed to keep up with number ones. If that Nick Needham comes back, I wouldn't be mad if Nick Needham takes over that second cornerback spot opposite Ramsey, because now you have Cam Smith and Fuller as your top four corners.
What about Kohu, man?
Yeah, Kohu and Needham. I think they live in the slot, those two. But
that's why we don't need to draft a corner right there, because you already have Kohu.
That's why we will, though. Sure.
Wow.
Yeah, he wasn't fast, but he had good play speed. You know, there's certain guys, like if you looked at Noah's fast, but he had no burst,
no location, no locating the ball. His cadence, oh my gosh, flipping of hips, nothing.
Yeah, Needham had good play speed, burst, and instincts.
Yes,
not great, but good,
elite tackler.
Yeah, I like Needham a lot. It's a shame that he didn't get the shot. He kind of got backlogged and then he got injured.
So I think that injury takes 2 years, Curtis, as you know, for you to be you again. So he tore his ACL a year and a half ago, and it's gonna take a full year for Needham to be Needham. Same we can say for Chubb. Same we can say for Phillips. Same we can say for Cameron Gubb. So expect these guys to really show themselves in 2025.
Yeah,
sad to say,
I think Greer knows that. I think he's playing for a down year this year.
You see, so now Needham, on the other hand, is already fulfilled his year and a half recovery. So I'm looking for Needham to get his hips, his legs, everything that Needham was. I'm looking for Needham to get that back, and I won't be surprised of his emergence.
I think him and Poyer are similar type players. I know they play different positions, but they're not fast, but they just have that dog in them, and they just know where they need to be and when they need to be there, and they just make it. They make all of their assets count as much as possible with what they got up here.
Zach Thomas is a prime example. Many guys.
Oh, Zach would be a stud right now.
Yeah, well, even Van Ginkel's like that too. Van Ginkel's very, very smart.
But he's too nice. Do you look? We let all these nice guys go, like Wilkins.
I don't know. Okay, listen. You want to get on Greer? How do you not sign Van Ginkel in 22?
He thinks he's too nice, Curtis. He wants somebody who's a dog. It's that he just says. There was a play last year. Ginkel was gonna sack. I can't remember who you're playing, and he could have laid the dude out. He wouldn't have got a fine. But instead, he kind of held him up because, you know what, I'm a good dude, and I know they're going to – those guys messing around, laughing, joking after every play. Nope, we want somebody who wants to murder you.
You want a Kiko Alonso, eh?
We went Kiko.
Kiko was crazy though. He sucked, but he was all out, and he had that one big game.
He's on the Ravens sideline right now. He's not knowing what's going on, man. But
listen, man, there was a play where a guy jumped up over the middle to catch a pass and do some yak. Kiko caught him right in the air and just continued to take him backwards.
That injury
he took
in Buffalo, he looked like he was going to be just a mess.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But
good
whatever.
memory.
Well, who did he get traded? Was it?
He got injured. He blew his Achilles or ACL out with Philly.
Mm-hmm.
Who did he get traded for? Was it McCoy? Straight up?
I think so. I don't remember.
And he just was never the same. And
it's like
God, he couldn't turn his hips. I'll tell you that.
To go back to the point of what Curtis was saying about the way of, I guess, Brandon Allen and Reggie McKenzie, like we couldn't hit on Werner. You mean to tell me we couldn't hit on the kid who's playing with Kansas City, the little linebacker up the middle? We couldn't hit Bolton.
Oh, I screamed. I banged.
We screaming for Bolton. We couldn't hit on Werner. We couldn't hit on Wolf. We couldn't hit on Patrick Willis. We couldn't hit on none of these guys.
We wanted Warner, but it got out the day before the draft that we had our eye on him. And San Fran, I think, moved in front of us for him. We should have moved up for him.
Oh my gosh, man.
Warner is so good. It's so rare to get a good middle linebacker. They are one of the most rare talents to find.
And the thing is, right, Greer likes these free agent linebackers. How about hit on your own, bro? Like, oh my God. Like,
I wanted,
and like I said, Cedric Wilson. If you get Cedric Wilson from North Carolina, he will. Listen, man, this kid is in a Landon Roberts 2.0 who's very young and fast.
I'm gonna check him out.
Who was the great kid you were telling me about? I got to put that name in there.
Cedric Gray from North Carolina. Yeah.
Yeah.
He ruled the Senior Bowl, and I love to watch the Senior Bowl with Big O. Big O goes out there.
Big O.
Yeah. Well, Big O goes out there and catches up with the Senior Bowl, and he tell you who's hot and who's not. And that kid owned the senior. Another Shaw Smith Wade, a cornerback who we can get maybe in the 5th round. That kid reminds me of a Sean Smith. I would say a 13. Very good hips. Sean Smith, a former cornerback for us. Very good hit. So a Shaw Smith Wade is someone you can get in the late rounds, just to bring in and because if we let go of Eli Apple, even if we let go of
Kelvin Jones, Eli Apple go like a poisoned apple.
Oh my God! Eli.
So you'll have a Nick Needham, a Shaw Smith Wade, you'll have a Cam Smith, a Fuller, and a Ramsey, and that's a good. And I'm telling you, Shaw Smith Wade ain't coming. He ain't coming to sit down. He can play. So, yeah.
I like our secondary. I said it was looking like one of our stronger units, and I got laughed out of the comments the other day from some dude. And I thought, man, maybe I'm wrong, but the secondary looks pretty good to me right now. So
when you add in the linebacking group, if Brooks plays out like people are telling me, I haven't done a tape on him. I'm doing the next film study I'm going to do is on him. When you tie the linebacking group into that secondary, the way it's looking right now, I think it's one of the best we've seen, both in depth and talent.
Athleticism, speed. Yes, both Anthony Walker and Jordan Brooks. They can cover receivers. They can, and Seren Neal. If you look, Seren Neal, there was one time where Kansas City used 3 gunners on him. That's how good he is. He reminds you of Walt Aikens and Michael Thomas. That's how good Seren Neal is as a special teamer. You got to put 3 guys. They got
a Bills fan, and she loves him.
Yeah, you got to put.
Is that what you said? Did you say Amy was a Bills fan?
Yeah. She's good. She's good at Apple.
Oh, she's a Bills fan watching the Dolphins podcast. All right.
Yeah, because I go on with Tommy at Mafia Sports Report. She's
it's not too late, Amy, to switch over.
Applications.
All right, guys.
And the thing, we haven't even touched on the compensatory picks. That's one thing we have to give Greer credit for. He knew that if Hunt and Wilkins walk, he can sit on his 3rd for 2025. And how do you guys feel about that?
I want to go in with 9+ picks next year.
For me,
Hey.
it's kind of like you go back to the Bill Belichick. It's better to get rid of a guy a year too early than a year too late. If we knew we were getting off Wilkins, we should have gotten rid of him in 22, or we knew we were getting
Same
rid
thing
of
as Xavier and Howard. Yeah. Move off him earlier. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we move off too late because and I think it goes back to what Cody was saying. I got a date with the wife, so I got to get off very soon because I'm not going to get hot water.
Okay.
But what Cody was saying was that there's just a incomplete, like inconsistent build. It's like we start in one direction, we stop and go to another. Like I loved when Flores and Greer was together. We're going to go build for the long haul. We're going to build through picks. And then all of a sudden Flores is gone and all that stuff. And then all of a sudden we're in all out win mode in 22. And it's like now we're even in more all out win mode in 23. And now we're rebuild. It's like we got 4 DCs in 4 years. We keep changing offensive coordinate. You cannot build like that. Consistency is the model for all success. And we have none of it.
We got it now. We got it now. We got our coach. We got our QB. Greer's not going anywhere. Let the stars have a line. We just haven't figured it out yet.
Anyway, yeah. Well, I'll just hope this has got to be. Okay. So if we get a letdown this season, which I'm fine with, then 25 has got to be the cutoff. So, but to me, it is a big year. Very interesting how everything plays out. So anyway, guys, Sharif, definitely come back next week. And anybody else who wants to come here, contact me at curtis@aspurhead.com. And come on if you want. I appreciate all you guys doing the comments. I appreciate Sharif, Cody. I'm trying to get Skylar back. He was here a couple weeks ago. I'm trying to get Lucas. I appreciate all you guys' thoughts. I'd actually like to sit in the background and just listen to you guys. So it makes my day easier as well. I appreciate all you guys do. Sharif, it's been a pleasure. You're a smooth talker. You know your game. And it's been a pleasure to be on with you. Cody, this is our second go around. We're becoming like a married couple over here. Always great to see you. You got a great family. I was proud to meet your daughter today. So,
yeah, Cody.
Yeah. One thing for you, Curtis. Anybody watching this, anybody that's going to see it in the future, I'd love to argue with you in the comments about Tua, big Tua guy. We can go rounds. I'm respectful. Let's go ahead and get some comments going. I'm pro Tua. I'm pro Greer. I'm more of an optimistic dude. So there's guys like Cliff. I didn't get to read all your comments. You seem to have some issues with the Dolphins. I'm here to discuss them with you. Go ahead and put them in the comments, and I'll get back to you guys. I got nothing else to do. So I will return some comments. Go to it.
Yeah, everybody, really, you can keep it. Like, look, I hate doing the camera thing. It's just really annoying. It's like kind of creepy. I don't even have photos of me throughout my being in my life because I just don't like. I just have to do it because my wife told me to do it because she said I had to do it.
Your wife says.
So you could just kind of what Sharif did. You could just come on here and put a picture there or whatever and share what you think. There's a lot of good comments. So anybody wants to come on, feel free, just email me, come on, and I appreciate it. I do believe 1,000% in different opinions. Like Sharif and I had a lot of agreements and we had some points of disagreement, same with Cody. But that's how dialogue is the key to finding out the truth. You have to expose yourself to different opinions and different ideas. As long as it's done in a courteous way, in a mature way, it's the only way to test your thoughts. So disagreements are really welcome here. So anyway, guys, I'm getting tired. I'm getting old. I could feel her steaming in the room next to me. So you guys are the best. I appreciate everything.
Yes, thank you.
Yep. Good to meet you, Sharif.
All right. Good to meet you, Cody and Curtis. You guys take care till next week. Fins up.
See you guys next week. Be well, guys. And definitely fins up. Thank you.